Italian East Africa was an Italian colony established on May 9, 1936. It was formed through the merger of Italian Somaliland, Italian Eritrea and Italian Ethiopia. In August 1940, during the Second World War, British Somaliland was conquered and annexed to Italian East Africa, which in 1941 was itself conquered during the East African Campaign by a British-led force of combined British, including Colonial, and Ethiopian units. British Somaliland, Italian Somaliland and Eritrea then came under British administration. In 1949, Italian Somaliland was reconstituted as the Trust Territory of Somaliland, which was administered by Italy from 1950 until its independence in 1960. In 1951, Eritrea was annexed by Ethiopia. Territory. When established in 1935, Italian East Africa covered the former Italian Eritrea and Italian Somaliland, and from 1936 the recently invaded Ethiopia. Victor Emmanuel III of Italy consequently adopted the title of Emperor of Ethiopia. The territory was divided into the 6 governorates of Italian East Africa, Italian Eritrea and Italian Somaliland, plus 4 provinces of Ethiopia, each under the authority of an Italian governor, answerable to the Italian viceroy, who represented the Emperor Victor Emmanuel. Italian East Africa was briefly enlarged in 1940, as Italian forces conquered British Somaliland, thereby bringing all Somali territories under Italian administration. However, the enlarged colony was dismembered only a year later, when in the course of the Ethiopian and British East African Campaign of June 1940 to November 1941, Italian East Africa was conquered. The other Italian colony in Africa was Italian North Africa. History. The Dominion was formed in 1936, after the Second Italo-Abyssinian War that resulted in the annexation of the Ethiopian Empire by Fascist Italy, by merging the pre-existing colonies of Italian Somaliland and Italian Eritrea with the newly conquered territory. In February 1937, following an assassination attempt on Italian East Africa's Viceroy Rodolfo Graziani, Graziani ordered Italian soldiers to raid the famous Ethiopian monastery Debre Libanos, where the would-be assassins had briefly taken refuge, and had the monks and nuns in the monastery executed. Afterwards, Italian soldiers destroyed native settlements in Addis Ababa, which resulted in 30,000 Ethiopians being killed and their homes left burned to the ground. The brutal massacre has come to be known as Yekatit 12. Fascist colonial policy in Italian East Africa had a divide-and-conquer characteristic. In order to weaken the Orthodox Christian Amhara people who had run Ethiopia in the past, territory claimed by Eritrean Tigray-Tigranians and Somalis was given to the Eritrea Governorate and Somalia Governorate. Reconstruction efforts after the war in 1936 were partially focused on benefiting the Muslim peoples in the colony at the expense of the Amhara to strengthen support by Muslims for the Italian colony. Italy's fascist regime encouraged Italian peasants to colonize the colony by creating agriculture and small industries there. However, few Italians came to the Ethiopian colony, with most going to Eritrea and Somalia. By 1940, only 3,200 farmers had arrived to Ethiopia, less than 10% of the fascist regime's goal. Continued insurgency by native Ethiopians, lack of natural resources, rough terrain, and uncertainty of political and military conditions discouraged development and settlement in the countryside. However, Italian Eritrea enjoyed a huge development, supported by nearly 80,000 Italian colonists. The colony proved to be extremely expensive to maintain. The budget in 1936-37 requested from Italy 19.136 billion lira to create the necessary infrastructure for the colony. At the time, Italy's entire revenue that year was only 18.581 billion lira. There was an urbanistic project for the enlargement of Addis Ababa, in order to become the state-of-the-art capital of the Africa Orientale Italiana. But these architectural plans, like all the other developments, were stopped by World War II. In 1940, the adjacent protectorate of British Somaliland was occupied by Italian forces and absorbed into Italian East Africa. This occupation lasted around 1 year. Colonial Administration. The colony was administered by a viceroy of Ethiopia and governor-general of Italian East Africa, appointed by the Italian monarch. The dominion was further divided for administrative purposes into 6 governorates and 40 commissionerships. Demographics. In 1939, there were 165,267 Italian citizens in the area, the majority of them concentrated around the main urban centers of Asmara, Addis Ababa and Mogadishu. The total population was estimated around 12.1 million, with a density of just over 6.9 inhabitants per square kilometer. The density of population of Ethiopia, Eritrea and Italian Somaliland were, however, very unequal. Eritrea, with an area of 230,000 square kilometers, had an estimated population of 1,500,000, or a density of 6.4 per square kilometers. Ethiopia, an area of 790,000 square kilometers and a population of 9,450,000, resulting in a density of 12 per square kilometers. Sparsely populated Italian Somaliland, finally, with an area of 700,000 square kilometers and a population of just 1,150,000, had a very low density of 1.6 per square kilometers. Bibliography. Antonicelli, Franco Trentani di Storia Italiana 1915–1945, Saggi Series 295, Torino. Einaudi, 387p. In Italian. Canestraro, Philip V. Historical Dictionary of Fascist Italy, Westport, Con, London. Greenwood Press, ISBN 0-313-213178. Del Boca, Angelo Italiana in Africa Oriental. La Cagita dell'Impero, Biblioteca Universal Lattiser 186, Roma. Lattiser, ISBN 88-422-810-X. In Italian. Moccola, Anthony. Haile Selassie's War. The Italian-Ethiopian Campaign, 1935–1941, New York. Random House, ISBN 0-394-54222-3. Sarti, Roland. The Axe Within. Italian Fascism in Action, New York. New Viewpoints, ISBN 0-531-06498-0. Mauri, Arnaldo. Il Mercato del Creditore in Ethiopia, Milano, Geoffrey, pp. 16, 504, in Italian. Calci Novaccia, Giancarlo, L'Africa d'Italia, Carracci, Roma. In Italian. Tucci Mai, Ercole. La Banca d'Italia in Africa, Presentazione di Arnaldo Mauri, Lattiser, Bari, ISBN 88-420-5686-3, in Italian.